weekly consultancy called FWD, Forward. I cover brand and retail strategies in the Middle East Africa region. And I apologize for the mix-up on the timing because Egypt just changed to daylight saving, and it seems that LinkedIn did not really see that. So basically 11 o'clock in the morning my time in Cairo, they did not put the join button that I can activate the event. So just heads up, what I've been doing is this audio linked in series. I started it April 1st. As you see, it is free. It's in English. It's a variety of topics. And you'll find the previous recordings on my YouTube channel, FWD Consultancy, and a lot of other fun stuff, as I call it. It's usually a topic, not a lecture. So bits and pieces of my thoughts on the topic. And after I'm done, I'm taking your questions and comments and shared experiences in different parts of that topic. So feel free after I'm done to share your thoughts. I'd love to hear from you because it's a global community, which is something I'm so fascinated and excited to always speak to a wider audience and reflect different views. I will repost the upcoming events as I've regularly done so every Saturday, 11 a.m. Cairo time. Coming up, there is Innovation Part 2 because the Part 1 actually went so well. I mean, I recall the questions and inquiries were actually took more time than what I was actually, presenting. I will specifically dive into stretching your brand into innovation legs. So not only on a product level, but we speak about if it fits your brand or not, and therefore a question around brand architectures. After that, there is a session on digital advertising and how you can build brand equity or not, and what are the levers that will help you do that if the only thing that you have is a digital marketing budget. As we know, budgets are tight and so forth. This is actually a revised session from one I've done earlier. Again, I got a lot of feedback that it needs to be revised, and people had a lot of questions on that. And the last one on this series, or at least the ones I have planned so far for the next month, is on private label. So if you're a retailer with a good name and you want to expand and private label, how can you do it and win in that? And if you're a brand owner, how you protect yourself. The bulk of example naturally would come from grocery because it's probably the one that is known to everybody on that. So enough of my blah, blah, blah for this morning or afternoon, depends where you are listening to. And today's topic is around food as medicine. Now, before we just go into that, I want to give you a little bit of, understanding of what is a trend. It's a word probably you hear a lot. You get all of these webinar invites around, trends of everything. Literally everything around the world today has a trend. But where do these come from? It's not an invention, and a lot of people, confuse trends with fads, for example. Fads is a short thing. It's like in fashion, today's fashion is, red lipstick, for example, yeah. It's a short-lived thing. But a trend is very solid. Trend is observations you have in an industry, and you see manufacturers and service suppliers are, opening up to this service, rolling it out at a small scale. But originally, where does that come from? How do they get the idea? How does it happen? It comes back to change in the environment of the customer or consumer. So in everyday life, there is a gap. Something happens. I have a problem as a customer, as a human being, yeah? And I'm trying to find a solution. Usually, trends start with consumers first, and they're probably, more imaginative and savvier than big businesses. It's by time that manufacturers catch on. Yeah, and it depends how good you are and how reflective and sensitive you are to the environment around you. So tons and tons of observational research happen around the world to gather all of these changes in the life of consumers across the board, including B2B, by the way. Companies as well changed the style of working. So once these gathered by, research agencies, what happens is they share that with some of the leading companies, or companies that are big, they do their own work. And I'm a great advocate of observation research. I personally do observation all the time in every country I go to. Yeah, it's a wealth of information, whether I'm working on a project or not. And then you connect the dots. So this is probably very, theoretical. Why don't I give you an example? So think about it. People's lives are changing. We spend long hours outside our home. There are a couple of things that happen, and this is a trend that have been on for like 15 years now. So how does that impact my life? I'm spending a lot of time out home, so I need to eat. Then started, why don't I get a snack, a small portion, which we call time me over. In the need states of snacking, we call it time me over until I go home and have a proper meal. But then I spend long hours, maybe not on the go, in the street, in the office. Then maybe I'll take food from home. Then I need proper packaging. Okay, I'm in the office for long hours, therefore I might be able to get a full meal because I'm missing the home cooked meal anyway. I'm arriving late and I'm gonna miss dinner, so there is an opportunity to deliver. So that's a service. But then you find that restaurant is catering for that, one-stop lunch meal. So you think about it, this is how a trend like this, which is now not a trend anymore, this is actually what we're doing. So 15 years back, this is how the sequence happened because there was a gap, there was a changing in the environment. If we take COVID, now COVID had a lot of implications. Actually, last year, I think it was March 2022, I had an extensive workshop on trends that will be happening and affecting the next 5 years. One of which, naturally, would be the healthcare. Yeah, there is a part of it, the health care and taking care of yourself because of COVID, but there is also a need to control. What has really happened to the psyche of consumers that they realize that they cannot control everything. We as human beings have become so, let me say, arrogant because of technology. We expect that you push a button and something comes out, and that something is expected. It's what you want, it's delivered. So, done deal, 100% confirmation. But when COVID happened, it was sudden, ununderstood, and sort of we needed to unlearn whatever we know about ourselves and about the industry. Part of it, by the way, was a huge distrust in the system. We're talking about people who are in control, are control as in, the formal voice of industries, of pharmaceutical companies. Reputation of pharmaceutical companies actually was a big question mark, still is, and it's part of the reason where consumers are shifting towards natural ingredients. Yeah, and you get those natural ingredients from, could be supplements, but then again, that is coming out of pharmaceutical companies, not to mention expensive. So the shift here was coming from something as huge as COVID that hit everybody. Until now, I don't think you can ask a person and they would have 100% good information about what is COVID, particularly, of course, because it evolved after that. It's just fuzzy, messy, dangerous, and so forth. So what we have seen is that I want to be healthy, I don't want to get sick, but also on the long term, I want to maintain my health. So that is a change in lifestyle. So first, a change in the mindset, and second, maintenance and lifestyle. So there has been a lot of research done in that area, and what would that help is food and beverage companies, they need to, if not already, understand where they can have a space that they would take over literally from pharmaceutical companies. They want to play in that. This whole well-being, maintenance, self-care on a functional level is huge, but also on a mental and emotional level, not just functional. So things like a cereal with plus zinc, okay, for kids, you know, all of these pluses we have in every category, that does not really work now. It's great, fine, but what's the next level of growth whereby you win the game? You are the new entrance, you are setting the trend, and you're there to stay for something that will stay with you. That is a train. There is a whole lot of research tools. I mentioned observation earlier, but there's also social listening, which is really an amazing tool to understand the conversations of customers online, because we cannot deny everybody's chatting online, everybody is talking, whether you know it's good talk or just BS. Yeah. So at this point in time, there's a lot of data coming in, and in media, more than 30%. I mean, at that time, let's say, I mean, I think this research was done like to end of 2021, I think. Yeah. So all the conversations around health, well-being has been an uptrend. 30% of discussions is around how to maintain my health. What are the options? From, you know, do I take protein powder? Do I take, you know, what kind of supplements should I take? Keto diet supplements, you know, that kind of thing. We found a lot of, you know, brands from pharmaceutical companies, which, you know, they have a consumer department, products. They would go into different formats which not really regular for a pharmaceutical company. So brands like Life's gum. So a gum that has immunity defense. It actually has vitamin C, they have zinc and so forth. And gummy bears, yeah, why not? You know, and part of the new formats is to encourage a healthier diet for kids. Not that they are advocating to target kids directly, but think about it. You know, most kids would not like to eat fruits and vegetables, for example, and so forth. So it's you know, a dilemma for parents. The thing is, this is a potential explosive growth. And it's up to you to understand which part of that trend you can work on with your R&D. Now, R&D and consumer insight as departments, they need to go hand in hand. All right. If you want to be the leader, you want to activate a trend around the world, particularly if you're a global player and you want something that stretches, you're not going to do you know, R&D work for every country you work in. That's really stupid. Yeah. So scaling the right kind of benefit, health benefit, in the right format would be really great. Now, the different format are very interesting. Like, you know, the ones that we have now and everybody's seeing, like gums and you know, protein bars and all of that. That's just, you know, scratching the surface, the surface. But in reality, there is so much more. If you think about it, the word food as medicine as such, it has been mentioned in the last couple of years extensively, and in context of consumer and business. So businesses as well, we social listen to businesses and how they interact and feature in their press releases, on their website, what are their plans for this trend and capitalizing on it. So between the year 2018, I'm just looking at the numbers now. So between 2018, so actually before COVID, and for the following 3 years up to mid 2020, and this is where the data stops, it's actually tripled the number of mentions, yeah, around food as medicine, because they are seeing more and more the concept of food is being highlighted. and is preferred rather than pills. So that's a big, big scare for any pharmaceutical company listening in. And on top of that, consumers are seeking greater understanding of nutrition. And how is that capable of making their life better, both mentally, emotionally, not only physically? And this is proven research. So the eagerness of consumer to understand more, and that this information is real, it's not pathetic, it's not fake, it's not about selling. I see an ad, for example, for a digestion aid, sachets and pills and all of that. And they tell you like, oh, okay, eat what you like, like the fried chickens of the world and get heartburn because we have this aid for you. But in reality, a good, healthy gut does not come from just digestion aids, because that's really pathetic. And in the world of information that we have, people know that there is something called prebiotics, probiotics, and postbiotics. I have to say personally, when I was working on that trend deck, I was like, I know probiotics, but I didn't know that there was pre and there was post. Apparently, this is like, a cycle of getting the good bacteria back on track in your gut. And believe it or not, and again, that was a personal discovery for me and something I'm personally suffering on in my health, is like everything starts from the gut, from the stomach. Yeah, whatever you're eating and coming there, if it's wrong for many ways, it destroys the good bacteria, it elevates, inflammation. And if that goes to the liver, okay, then you have a problem with the liver, which really, gets your toxics out of the system. And if it's not happening, God forbid, it actually affects directly your brain, literally. A lot of the dementia cases that is much increasing these days, God bless us, it's because of that. It's that cycle that needs to be broken. So today, if you're a manufacturer and coming to tell me, hey, this is the easy one, take that pill and you'll be great, and you can eat, a whole turkey at one go, I'm sorry, that does not really work anymore. And this is across the board, by the way. That has nothing to do with your socioeconomic class or, how well you're educated, because it's on media. Yeah. When they have researched a couple of years back what are the benefits correlation, the number one, which took 45% of the respondents and posts on social media, was gut health. The next one at 28% was detox. Anti-inflammatory and antioxidants took another 10%. And interestingly enough, weight loss came at only 4%, which is really very interesting. Why? Because that means that the consumers are now savvier to understand that they really need a good solution, something that goes with them to maintain their life and something that they can input on their daily routine and a change of lifestyle. So in that respect, all of the claims that you need to look into needs to be real and has a bit of longevity. Now, there's a lot of industries like, I would say fitness people, people who go to the gym, that they started early on with those protein supplements and whey powder and all of that, and, sports beverages. One of the things that we've been seeing is something we title Quench Your Hunger. So it's not about thirst, okay, but it's like one-stop shop of a drink whereby you have all your nutrition. In fact, it could be a meal in itself. But what do you put on that? There is a brand that is very popular in the UK called Huel, which is Huel, if you want to Google that. And if you go to their store, they have very interesting flavors, like, for these mixes, Thai green curry, coconut curry, tomato and herbs, sweet and sour. So think about it, it's actually a meal in itself, and that is part of a consumer segment and what they are looking for. Now, there's a whole lot of benefits that can come out of researching certain ingredients. You also need to understand that these ingredients, while they are healthy, they might have barriers. So some of the barriers would be cost, for example. So if we're talking about alternative milk, which is really a drink, you know, um, uh, almond drink is probably the most expensive because the base is expensive. So people are thinking of barley as a substitute base. Yeah, I mean people, I mean industries and companies, because it's cheaper. So maybe that now would be the next hot thing. Yeah. So there's a lot of variables that can come into place when you are deciding on which healthy grain, for example, use as a base to get it into your production line. It's a big decision. There's a whole lot of stuff around, people who are allergic, gluten-free, blah, blah, blah. There's a whole lot of stuff that can go into that. One of the things that you always need to look into if you're into food and beverage is taste. While consumers, and this is a fact, look for healthier options, they also don't want to lose the taste. Last month, there was actually a couple of good global forums. I mean, I've seen the interviews and the drill down. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend in person. But there was the World Innovation Awards 2023, and there was the International Food and Drinks Expo, and both were in London in the last couple of months. If you look at the results of these expos, what were people? One of the things I saw a company called MUU, which is from the Finland, and they took the first award for innovation, and this is for fruit bio butts. So it's into snacking, but it's organic, and it's fruit based, and so forth. There's also a new look at sunflower oil. Some people would position that as, omega-3 and 6 and all of that. But now they're looking at it as a protein claim. There, of course, I mean, I'm not going to talk about the alternative meats and stuff, the plant-based, because this already has been on for a while. I think it's an amazing, I tasted it several times personally, and I think it's amazing. The problem, of course, is scalability. Yeah, for all of these healthy ones and substitute in person lives. But the theme that has always been coming up from consumers, balance the nutrition with the taste. It's a challenge, yeah, but it's there. If you want to win with consumers in that respect, it has to be worked out. And I have to say that the projects that I've worked on over the years with R&D has always been fascinating, because I was the voice of the consumer, and the R&D was the voice of the product. So when you see those sensory maps, in comparison to consumer maps with all the attributes, you feel like that there is translation between, what the consumers are feeling in their mouth, in the taste buds, what is it telling you, and then the R&D scientist guys are, translating that in an actual product. Because think about it, testing these kind of products is very challenging. Consumers cannot articulate how they feel. So it takes a long time in research until you anchor what kind of experience, product experience, taste experience that they want to go through. So that is something to look into. Definitely one of the panels in that expo, they were discussing labeling, clean labeling, and low processed. In fact, one of the biggest trends now is to put together products that constitute of only 3 ingredients and still taste good. That is, in discussion as we speak. But you think that the world of food and beverage is really changing. Some of the watch outs is when you're going into a new market and that's not yours, you need to understand, is there any associations with that ingredient? So let's say millet or chickpeas. They are very popular in India, for example. Yeah, but if I'm taking it into another country, okay, where this is very unfamiliar, There are also some ingredients that had over the years a bad reputation. So carob, for example, carob. What is it in Arabic? Kharoob. Yeah. Believe it or not, it used to be the substitute for chocolate. But given the taste, and R&D did not really do a good job out of it. There is a bad reputation to carob, even though it is an amazing superfood. And that's one of the things, by the way, you probably have heard that word superfood for the last 2 years extensively because, again, of that trend. So, net, I would tell you that if you're a company with manufacturing muscle and you want to be a game changer, you need to work very closely with R&D, with consumer insights. You need to look into the area of new ingredients coming out and leveraging that trend and that appetite for consumers to, include healthy food in their daily diet, whatever the segment is, older or younger or so forth. You can play with formats in an amazing way. I mean, I've personally tested. I love chickpeas, by the way, and I love that there is, pasta made of chickpeas, cakes, so ice cream, by the way, as well. So yeah, the sky is the limit. You just need to know which ones you can play with. So practically done now with what I want to let you know this morning. Do you want to jump in and talk to me? Tell me your experiences, or you have questions and so forth. Just raise your hand. Hi, Basil. Go ahead.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Not too bad.
Not too bad. Alhamdulillah. Hi, everyone. To be honest, once we are, looking for something healthy, I believe what we need is, to change the behavior of the consumer or the customers. They need, to adapt once it comes to the taste, right? The appetite. So this is, I believe, what we need to all work forward. Because again, even, thousands of years back, we all aware that food is the medicine, right? Then I believe the challenge is not the ingredients. The challenge is we consider the inside, and we start fight between, as you said, you are the voice of the consumer, and the R&D is the voice of the product. So I believe if we reach a balance, right, then I believe we will have a win-win situation. I am in the supplements industry, all right, and even it took us a lot of efforts, to convince people, to consume these, let's say, products. But is it an easy task? It is not. But I believe if we can change, the behavior, the adaptation for the consumers, because I believe only in Middle East we struggle with this. But if you go to China, Asia, even in Europe, even kids, even babies, I believe they are happy with the food they are consuming. So I believe only the challenge we face here, why? Because for one reason, we got used for fast food and junk food, and all these processed foods, the taste is delicious. So this is our struggle. And sorry if I'm low.
Well, thank you for that build, Basil. I totally hear you and I agree with you. And this is where, what we're talking about here is a long-term vision for the growth of any company. It starts with the trigger is there and it's positive, and that's why it's called behavior research. It's called a trend. And now that you have mental, what acceptability, okay, from a consumer, and they want this, there is a bulk of work that is done between R&D and consumer insight, and you actually get the product out there with the right claim, and then the launch. I see that there has been a lot of good innovations, but because the launch was wrong, and part of it, as you rightfully said, there was no education for customers. I want this thing, but you need to point me out. So in the back of their mind, yes, I want to live healthy. You remind me with 15 years ago, I did this. I was working in Cadbury, and we were doing this global survey about the meaning of healthy. And in Egypt it was quantitative, and one of the statements that came out, yes, it was actually overscoring in Egypt that C class live healthy, and I was like, there's something wrong there. So we did some qual work, and I tried to understand, why are you saying that? But it was not the why as much is to explore what are all the other activities that you do that would tell me, yes, I'm living a healthy life. What they said is, with regards to chocolate, chocolate is very special. So what they're doing is cutting on pasta and rice, yeah, but not chocolate because something special. So regardless of that story, my point is, you need to really understand when you launch what kind of words, benefits, claims, and so forth, because communication is extremely important. I can think of tons and tons of innovations that were amazing. Either they were launched wrong or the timing was wrong. Yeah. So thanks for that, Basil. And let me take Mustafa. Go ahead, please.
Can you hear me now?
Excellent. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Dalia, for the session. I really appreciate it for this. I'm working in the manufacturing since my experience in the Middle East. I just want to highlight the challenges from producing this healthy products from the capacity constraining, since it's a small production, we can say, since the market's not that big. And the second part is the pricing point, the positioning of the products over the specific price point over the shelf, which is very, very hard to have this one, since the ingredients is quite high, and the capacity, as well as a lot of overhead is capitalizing over this production. So what is the what is the benefit? I know it's more healthy, but if I cannot afford to buy this healthy products, what's my options? So we need to create the culture from the early generation to make this a growth strategy for the healthy food. This I just wanted to highlight this point over here, since once we are aiming to do a healthy and a more organic products, if we can say, this coming with a high cost and a high price, shelter price. That's it from me for now.
Mustafa, thank you for that, and thank you for mentioning one word that is really the buzzword for all this discussion: growth strategy. Yeah, because innovation is not for every company. Yeah, they always tell you. I mean, they always tell you, or at least I believe so, that big companies are like dinosaurs. It takes them a long time to move. Yeah, startups are, they have agility, but they don't have the operation and muscle and maybe even the thinking. So if you want to go through this operation or that type of growth within a trend, you need to make choices. You need to do a lot of research ahead, okay, to be the game changer. But some organization don't want to be the game changer, and that's absolutely fine. It's not for everybody, by the way. Yeah. So it could be the case that you're adopting an innovation. So let's take oats. This explosion. I mean, I'll speak specifically on Egypt, for example. You have oats, so you have all of these formats happening. Okay, whether it's oatmeals, you're eating it for breakfast, or you have all of these snacks. Now, is this an innovation? It's probably a subcategory from snacking. have any of the players today actually sat down, and this is to Basil's earlier comment, and put together, an education why oats is healthy? Oats is healthy because it stabilizes the blood sugar. Yeah, it makes your hunger, suppressed for a while. But all you find on Instagram or on store or whatever is like, we have a new flavor, guys. This is the taste that you're waiting for. This is, have a break, have this snack or whatever. This is crap. Yeah, this is not people who are want to win in innovation and have explosive growth. They're imitators, and by the way, this is fine. I'm not slashing them, but it's the mindset. So as a company, what do you want to do? Where do you want to grow? And adapting or taking a copy and paste or a me too of innovation, that's absolutely fine. Then it comes down to you've already run your numbers. But in your case, because you are in manufacturing, the whatever it comes to you as, guys, in the next 2 years, this is the new product we're going to manufacture. Before you are notified with this from the top management, yeah, the top management need to do their homework, which means they already have a concept screening of the idea. They've tested it. They've done the financial work. They've put in the numbers, whether for raw material, what your margin is going to be. It's a big, huge homework. And it could be the case that you want to invest in CapEx, so a new product line to do this. And in that respect, you're going to sell for a local market or you're going to export. This is, again, to the word you mentioned earlier, this is a growth strategy. Thanks, Mustafa, for that.
Thank you.
Questions, thoughts? Okay, so I'll wrap it up here. Thanks for joining me and have a great day. Bye-bye.